The Wyatt Sicks need a reset. Completely, utterly, they're in need of a reset. The QR codes were a great build-up before they debuted. Their debut segment was amazing. It had people in every walk of life talking about it. I think it was Pat McAfee who did like a 25-minute segment on his ESPN show the following day after the debut of the Wyatt Sicks. It was amazing. Everything since kind of missed the mark. And maybe that's the point of them transferring over the Smackdown. And still, the way they were transferred over the Smackdown, I thought missed the mark too. They didn't come out and say, we're here. They didn't come out and kind of make a statement. They didn't take somebody out on SmackDown. It was Karrion Kross going to Adam Pearce and him saying, oh, yeah, the Wyatts, they're on SmackDown now. And then the Wyatts have yet to show up on SmackDown. They need a reset. I think that reset's going to take some time. And I think they need to be built as one of, if not the strongest factions in WWE going forward. They needed to get away from Gable and American Made. They needed to get away from Kross and the Final Testament. That wasn't working. So I like the fact that they're starting over on SmackDown. Now, why do I say that they need to be built as one of the strongest, if not the strongest factions in WWE? Because right now, WWE doesn't have any strong factions. Judgment Day, especially after the injury to JD McDonough and whatever's going to happen with Finn Balor when he eventually comes back to TV, Judgment Day is dead. It's done completely. Bloodline 1, they've all gone out and into their own directions. Roman Reigns is the OTC, is on his own. Jimmy Uso said as much on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago where he said, Jay's going for a title, Roman's going to the Rumble, I got to carve my own path. Bloodline 1 is not a faction anymore. They could always return, but as of right now, I don't see them as an active faction in WWE. Bloodline 2.0 is not a thing anymore. Solo's been off TV. Jacob seems like he's getting pushed separately. Tama Tonga had a singles match last Friday, for God's sakes. Bloodline 2 to me is done until they show up in a storyline together again, until they start to put the pieces back together again. I'm going to operate as if they're done. Final Testament is flailing. Where's Akam and Razor? Where's Paul Ellering? It feels like Karrion Kross is getting pulled apart and separated. And The Miz was even in Final Testament for a little while. He got moved over to SmackDown. So they separated that. There's not a lot of factions in WWE. Families are getting torn apart. Friendships are getting torn apart. Hypothetically, the one family that should persist is the Wyatt Sicks. Belts shouldn't be a primary focus, I don't think, for these guys yet. I think you can build strong stories and strong feuds through a connected message. Is it targeting people who turned on family? Maybe, because all of these factions are breaking up. Maybe the Wyatt Sicks go after Solo Sikoa. Maybe the Wyatt Sicks go after DIY. Maybe they go after somebody else. But I don't think their primary focus should be on belts. They just need to be booked like a strong faction, and they need to be used sparingly. That's why I'm not overly upset that they haven't been shown on SmackDown. I was upset at the execution of announcing that they had moved to SmackDown. Use them sparingly. Let them build up slowly, not through QR codes again. We don't want to move backwards, but let them build slowly. And honestly, let them take some time right now. It's unlikely that the Wyatt Sicks are featured on WrestleMania. I would be surprised. Unless they somehow shoehorn in an 8-man or a 6-man tag match like they did last year with Legado and Dom versus the LWO and Final Testament versus the Pride, which was, Lashley and the Street Profits. They did it last year. Maybe they do it again. But something tells me that they need to pump the brakes and they need to go hard on the Wyatts being a dominant faction from WrestleMania onward. How much will they be used in the coming months? I would imagine sparingly, if everybody else, at the very least, if WWE is thinking along the same lines as me. But they need to be careful because this is an act. This is a group that had a lot of buzz. This is a group that a lot of people want to see and a lot of people want to see succeed. They need to be booked adequately with that in mind. So I'm hoping that that's the case. I'm hoping that the move to SmackDown does Uncle Howdy and his group of misfits well, because I really want to see that succeed